guys, welcome back to the Faithful Farmer Mama. So today's video takes place over about a week and a half. We've been working really hard on the kitchen and I want to share our progress with you today. If you've been with our channel for a while, you know that I ask if you go down below, find the subscribe button and the little bell, and please click both of those so that you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Here on the farm, we always have something going on. We are a very non-stop family, which is something that I love about our family. So right now we are refreshing our kitchen. We live in a modern farmhouse. It is a beautiful, beautiful home, but our kitchen is pretty dark and we really kind of want something to lighten it up and make it very old, vintage farmhouse style. So today's video, I'm going to share with you the progress that we have been doing over the last couple of weeks to make this farmhouse kitchen dream a reality. It is taking a very long time because there's always so much other stuff that has to happen.
We own about 26 acres, almost 26 acres, and all of this grass has to be cut or it becomes very unruly. We also have the chickens and their coop has to be cleaned. And then the garden, it is exploding right now with amazing things like tomatoes. Look how beautiful they're looking. Can't wait till they turn red. And then we have zucchini that is growing and squash and cucumbers. The garden is just bursting with life. And then this stuff has to be preserved. So this job is a continuing thing throughout the summer. But the best part about the cut flower garden is that it is starting to produce flowers. Guys, these are zinnias. I absolutely adore zinnias. The one thing I love about these zinnias is once you cut the bloom, it actually produces more. So these beautiful flowers I get to take inside and then it will produce more over time. And then I'll save the seeds and replant next year. This I think is my favorite, candy cane zinnias. Then I head up to our raised bed gardens. Peppers are thriving, which is such a plus since y'all know how my peppers have been this year. And we've harvested all of our carrots so that we put cucumbers in, and they are starting to grow. Our winter squash is growing, our peppers, our garlic, even flowers given to me by a friend. Then we clean out the stable, which is a never-ending story. We're trying to clear brush and get rid of old debris, making the yard look cleaner and keep snakes away. And then we have the pasture. This is about almost, I'd say about 17 acres of flowers, wildflowers, and grasses that just grow. And sometimes throughout the summer, I lose my husband because he gets on his tractor and he heads out here and he spends hours trying to cut at least walking paths around these fields. I know he enjoys his time on the tractor. I enjoy coming out here to look at these beautiful flowers as they wave in the wind and just be themselves, growing with no water on my part and no care on my part.
So once all of that other stuff is taken care of, and that doesn't even go to mention the cleaning of the house, cooking of meals, doing laundry, there's just a non-existent list. It never ends. Once all of the other stuff gets done and the things inside the house get done, that is when we have been working on the kitchen. So this video, you will see over a period of time how this cabinet and how our kitchen has been coming along.
So this is my cabinet base, how it looked beforehand. I did a little spot up in the upper left-hand corner to see how the stripper was going to react with this type of painting that was done. It's absolutely gorgeous, guys. The raw wood is so pretty. So I'm just emptying cabinet drawers, taking out my drawers. As you remember, I said I was going to put paper down so that we didn't get stripper on the floor. I'm taking off trim around the bottom so that I can go ahead and strip that as well. I think I've decided to make those natural wood too. They're not done yet. but eventually they will be done. Taking just some regular Melaleuca Tough and Tender wipes, and I'm just wiping off the floor and the cabinet base so that I can go ahead and start stripping. As I mentioned in the last video, you could always use a drop cloth or any other type of floor protectant. I just did this during the stripping phase because I didn't want to mess up the floor. I used my citrus strip. I used an old 9x13 throwaway pan to pour it into, and then I just painted with a dollar store paintbrush the stripper onto my cabinet base. If you notice, the top panel is still there. I was having a really hard time getting that off, and even with a screwdriver and with a hammer and trying to pry it off, it just would not come off. Once I strip the paint off, you will see a little later that it will actually disappear off of there because I was able to finally get it off. I did tape around the pulley pieces with the little wheel on there, and then we just waited for the stripper to actually work. The drawers, I took off all the handles, all the hardware, and I put stripper on them. I just used the same paintbrush, same stripper. I let it sit for anywhere between 15 to 45 minutes, and then I just come back with a little flat tool that I found in my husband's shop bag, and I just started scraping off what was there. I used the lid to the 9x13 throwaway container to actually put it in. The one thing I love about Citrus Strip, it's not very acidic. Like, it doesn't eat through things that you use. You know, the lid is plastic, and a lot of people would think that it would just, the stripper would eat through it, but it really doesn't. And if you notice, I don't even have gloves on. I don't wear gloves when I use the stripper. I probably should, but I don't. So I got a Pampered Chef scraper tool that comes with the stoneware to clean out between the little columns here. Makes it a lot easier to actually get in there and take the stripper off in the little grooves. You'll see a close-up of those in a little while. Then I come back with just a wet cloth and I wipe everything down so that I can put a second coat of Citrus Strip and re-scrape it. It is definitely one of those things where you need to do more than one time. With this particular cabinet, it had 3 coats of things on it. It had a urethane coat, a white coat, and then also the stain into the wood. So it took me about 2 or 3 times, or 3 or 4 times, to actually get all of the paint and stain off of this cabinet face. Again, I'm just wiping it off to get all the excess off, so I would know what needed to be scraped off. I started stripping the cabinet drawers inside. This is just the first coat that I did, and it sat there for about an hour, and it really was tough to get off of there. If you notice here, like, the white was really not coming off. The next day, I busted out the hand sander. I actually went through quite a few pads, but the sander was doing such a great job. It was getting the stain off of the wood. If you notice, I'm dressed differently now. Again, it was a different day. Then I have my Dremel tool. I got this on Amazon as well. It came with sander pads along with all the bits that you use to get into grooves and stuff. Right here, I'm actually doing the bottom part. It looks exactly like the top right there above my head. And it's just a lot of detail work. It does take a little bit of time to actually do that, but it was okay because it's turned out so beautifully.
Well, after days of stripping and sanding, we have a little bit of that natural wood showing. I've been working really hard to sand and sand and sand and sand, and it's getting there. It's going to take a lot more detail work. I have to get inside the columns here with the Dremel tool, which that actually is pretty easy, believe it or not. It's the other stuff, because it was dark stained, I'm having to work a little bit harder to get all of the dark color off. But guys, I'm so excited about the beautiful wood that's showing underneath, and I'm just ecstatic that one day soon it will be a natural wood color, very similar to that. And although our cabinets here, it's kind of funny to me that this actually looks like two different colors. It's not, it's just the way the lights in the kitchen are actually hitting it, which is probably why it always looks so dark in here anyway. Those will actually be white. Lots of sanding, not fully down to the basic wood as we have here, just a light coat sand, and then we're gonna paint. You'll notice here that the column is actually a different color wood. The upper pieces show it really well. I'm going to leave those. Now I'm ready to tackle this sucker, but that's later. So I took the cabinet doors outside and I did proceed to scrape them. 2 different times I put stripper on top and scraped it off. And now we wait. I usually let this sit about 15 to 20 minutes, but you can usually tell when the paint starts to kind of bubble up through there. You can kind of see it right here that it's actually starting, there's some stuff there, that it's actually starting to bubble up here, and you can actually see where it's actually coming off. That's one of the greatest things I love about this particular stripper. It will tell you when it's ready. So I'll just let this sit here, and then I'll come back and actually scrape it off with my scraper. So this was the 3rd time that I had put stripper on here. If you notice, I'm changed again. It's a different day. It came off so much better this time. I did use a lot of stripper on this 3rd coat. I put it really thick on there so that it would be easier to come off, and it actually took off almost all of the white. The next job would be to sand it down with the hand sander, or they also call it a mouth sander, which made it so much easier than just stripping off the stain. Well, while I was outside, day 2, working on those cabinet drawers, I had to come inside because I have an idea, and I think I'm going to share it with my husband today, but I wanted to share it with you here. So this is our stove base here under our stovetop, and the bottom 2 larger drawers are actual where I keep the pots and pans. So this top face plate, which we have been working on, this is just a plate that covers up this hole right here. So I'm actually thinking I might have my husband put in one of these rails here, up here, so that I can put in a half drawer, because, you know, because we do have this here for the stovetop, we want to make sure that things don't hit that, because that is a gas line that goes into the gas, of course. But we could actually do a half drawer to maybe here, giving us room to put utensils right here under this drawer. So now I'm really excited to get this done, because I want that drawer so I can get rid of this pot right here. So we'll open up our stove. I began putting on a clear coat of urethane. I am using a sponge roller brush, and I am doing the entire cabinet on the inside, and I'm using just a little sponge from the dollar store to do the columns, which made it so much easier when I was doing the columns. It is a clear polyurethane. The wood actually turned a little bit darker
once I put it on there, a little darker than I really wanted it. However, a sweet friend reminded me, once my cabinets on the sides of this cabinet are painted white, this stain will not make my cabinet look so dark. And I have to remember that. Sometimes it's hard to remember that the dark is not going to be there anymore. So thank you for that, my friends. You know who you are. And again, yes, I know I probably should be wearing gloves, but I am not. Aren't they beautiful? This is after the third coat of urethane, and this is my cabinet before the top drawer is done. Hubby is working on that right now, and I am working on the trim. I cannot wait until this piece is totally finished. What do y'all think? Comment below what your thoughts are.
Well, that's it for today, guys. I hope you really enjoyed our video, and I hope you really enjoy how our kitchen is starting to look. I know that I am so excited now that the raw wood is starting to make its presence in the kitchen. It's making me so happy inside that I cannot wait to get started on painting and making this kitchen a bright, airy, vintage kitchen. Thanks for being here, y'all. We'll see you next time. Bye.